You don't talk much. If you're someone who hears this often, you know the feeling. It's a spotlight you never asked for, freezing you in place while everyone else seems to move effortlessly to the rhythm of the room. Humans have a natural aversion to silence. When we encounter a gap in a conversation, our brains reflexively try to fill it. When someone isn't providing the words, observers often project their own explanations onto that quietness. This is where the labels come from. People assume the quiet person in the corner is shy, socially awkward, unfriendly, or perhaps acting superior to the rest of the group. Society frequently misinterprets an absence of speech as a lack of personality or capability, overlooking the fact that silence can be an active choice. Move that same person to a different environment, and a paradox emerges. The individual who was silent at a networking event can be expressive and talkative at a dinner with close friends. This diagram highlights the misconception. We often view quietness as a fixed trait, but it functions as a dynamic response, expanding or contracting based on specific inputs like trust and comfort. To understand this behavior, we have to look past the sheer volume of someone's words and examine the internal mechanism dictating them, the social filter. For these individuals, a quiet exterior often masks an ongoing calculation of where and how to invest their energy. When a quiet person enters a room, they typically begin with an observation phase. They map the social dynamics, noticing who dominates the discussion and how people react to one another before they decide to speak. This radar illustrates psychological safety, the belief you won't be judged. The filter sorts the room. Relying on past experiences, those previously dismissed cross-reference history against the present, running a risk assessment to ensure their words remain safe. If the environment fails that check, the reaction is an automatic withdrawal. They won't force a conversation or mimic the room's energy just to avoid being noticed. Remaining quiet in an unsafe room is a learned defensive strategy, a way to protect their perspective from an environment that hasn't earned it. This leads to energy awareness, the way these individuals track the psychological toll of their surroundings. They quickly identify the triggers that drain their mental reserves, such as forced small talk, or fake enthusiasm, or inauthentic posturing. This scale shows the ROI of words. They measure the mental cost of engaging against the value of the connection. When an interaction feels draining or pointless, it tips the scale toward exhaustion. Rather than engaging just to fit in, they choose to conserve their resources. They prefer silence over feeling depleted by a conversation that means nothing to them. This approach means they are often comfortable being misunderstood by the crowd. They generally refuse to adopt a persona just to gain broad acceptance. In a room full of noise, their silence acts as a marker of their alignment with their own authenticity. For many, silence is a comfortable baseline. They don't feel the pressure to fill every pause because they don't view a gap in conversation as something that needs to be fixed. While society often measures connection by the volume of words spoken, quiet people measure it by the depth and reality of the exchange. When a quiet person finally chooses to speak freely, it signals a definitive shift. It means the environment has passed their internal filter. Because of this pre-filtering process, their spoken words are often stripped of filler. Having already decided the thought is worth the energy, what they say carries more weight and intention. When someone says, "You don't talk much," they are only seeing one side of that person, the side that appears in a space where they don't feel fully connected or understood. These individuals simply hold their voice in reserve, waiting for a space that